Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Raja Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Raja Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana
Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnupada Brahmamsa Parivajagacharya Stotra Krishna's Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Grantharaj Shrimadbhagavatam ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavani Samaveda Bhakti Jai Gaur Premanande. All glories to Sambhava. All glories to Sambhava. All glories to Sambhava. All glories to Shri Guru Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye
Mudiraye
Nashtapraya Shabhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Hi, welcome to Shrimadbhagavatam class. Devasudha Mandir. Reading today from Canto 1, Chapter 11, text number 32. Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwaraka. Tamatmaje Drishtibir Antaratmana
Tamatmaje Drishtibir Antaratmana
Duranta Bhavaha Parire Biripatan
Duranta Bhava Parire Virepatim
Niruddhamapa Shravadambunetrayo
Niruddhamapiya Shravadambunetrayor
Vilajatinam Briguvarya Vaiklavat
Vilajatinam Vivarya Vaiklavat
Tamatmaje Drishtibir Antaratmana
Tamatmaje Drishtibir Antaratmana
Duranta Bhavaha Parire Birepatim
Duranta Bhava Parire Virepatim
Niruddhamapi Ashravadambunetrayo
Niruddhamapi Ashravadambunetrayo
Vilajatinam Briguvarya Vaiklavat
Vilasatanam Rukhuvarya Vaiklavat
Tanatmajaye Drishtibir Antaratmana
Atmaje Drishtibir Antaratmana
Duranta Bhavaha Parire Birepatim
Duranta Bhava Parire Virepatim
Niruddhamapi Ashravadambunetrayo
Niruddhamapi Ashravadambunetrayo
Vilajatinam Briguvarya Vaiklavat
Vilasatinam Rukhuvarya Vaiklavat Tamatmaja Drishtibir Antaratmana
Tamatmajaye Drishtibir Antaratmana
Duranta Bhava Parire Virepatim
Duranta Bhava Parire Virepatim
Niruddhamapi Ashravadambunetrayo
Niruddhamapi Ashravadambunetrayo
Vilajatinam Rukhuvarya Vaiklavat
Vilajatinam Briguvarya Vaiklavat
Tamatmaja Drishtibir Antaratmana
Tamatmaja Drishtibir Antaratmana Duranta Bhava Parire Virepatim
Niruddhamapi Ashravadambunetrayo
Niruddhamapi Ashravadambunetrayo
Vilajatinam Rikhuvarya Vaiklavat
Vilajatinam Rukhuvarya Vaiklavat
Tam,
Tam,
him the Lord,
the Lord
Atmajahi,
Atmaja
by the sons,
by the sun
Drishtibihi,
Drishtibi
by the sight,
by the sight
Antara Atmana,
Antaratmana
by the innermost part of the heart,
by the innermost part of the heart.
Duranta Bhava,
Duranta Bhava,
insuperable ecstasy.
insuperable ecstasy.
Parire Bhire,
Valire Vire,
embraced.
embraced.
Patim,
Patim,
husband.
husband.
Niruddham,
Niruddham,
choked up.
choked up.
Api, in spite of.
In spite of
Ashravat,
Ashram,
tears.
tears,
Ambu, like drops of water.
like drops of water.
Netrayo,
Netra,
from the eyes.
from the eyes.
Vilajatinam,
Vilajita,
of those situated in shyness.
of those situated in shrines.
Brigu Vaira,
Briguvarya,
of the Brigus, O chief of the Brigus.
O chief of the Gurus.
Vaiklava,
Vaiklava,
inadvertently.
inadvertently.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace of Eternal in the Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. The insuperable ecstasy was so strong that the queens who were shy first embraced the Lord in the innermost recesses of their hearts. Then they embraced Him visually, and then they sent their sons to embrace Him, which is equal to personally embracing. But, O chief amongst the Brigus, though they tried to restrain their feelings, they inadvertently shed tears. Please repeat. The insuperable ecstasy
The insuperable ecstasy
was so strong
was so strong
that the queens
that the queens
who were shy
who were shy
first embraced the Lord
first embraced the Lord
in the innermost recesses
in the innermost recesses
of their hearts. Then they embraced
Then they embraced
Him visually,
Him visually,
and then they sent
and then they sent
their sons to embrace
their sons to embrace
Him,
Him,
which is equal to personally embracing.
which is equal to personal embracing.
But,
But,
O chief among the Brigus,
O chief amongst the British,
though they tried
though they tried
to restrain their feelings,
to restrain their
they
feelings,
inadvertently shed tears.
they inadvertently shed tears.
Purport. Although due to feminine shyness there were many hindrances to embracing their dear husband, Lord Sri Krishna, the queens performed that act by seeing Him, by putting Him in the core of their heart, and by sending their sons to embrace Him. Still the act remained unfinished, and tears rolled down their cheeks despite all endeavors to check them. One indirectly embraces the husband by sending the sons to embrace him, because the son is developed as part of the mother's body. The embrace of the son is not exactly like the embrace of husband and wife from the sexual point of view, but the embrace is satisfaction from the affectionate point of view. The embrace of the eyes is more effective in a conjugal relation, and thus, according to Srila Jiva Goswami, there is nothing wrong in such exchange of feelings between husband and wife. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Ayam Rupa Kalamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitamstam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Nivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The insuperable ecstasy was so strong that the queens who were shy first embraced the Lord in the innermost recesses of their hearts. Then they embraced Him visually, and then they sent their sons to embrace Him, which is equal to personal embracing. But, O chief amongst the Brigus, though they tried to restrain their feelings, they inadvertently shed tears. So, Krishna has now returned to Dwarka. And where is he when this is taking place? Inside the palaces. That's a very important point we'll come to. How many palaces?
16,100.
So you must have been discussing in the prior few verses the astonishment that Krishna has 16,108 wives. Now, from material vision, this is very bewildering on so many platforms. Because we see things from the lens of our contaminated heart. When we try to see things on our own. Just like, again, if I'm looking through these glasses, if the lenses are dirty, then everything will look fuzzy, dirty. But the object is not dirty. What is dirty is my lens. So similarly, when we look at Krishna's pastimes, if we look at them from our perspective, from our understanding, we'll see inappropriateness, we'll see some oddities, and things that will bewilder us. So the means to see Krishna's pastimes is through the ears of words spoken from the mouths of our acharyas. So Srila Prabhupada is quoting that according to Srila Jiva Goswami, there is nothing wrong in such an exchange. The critical and very important point here is that we have to understand these pastimes from one who has purified the heart. What makes them the authority is not because they came some long time ago, but that because of their fully purified heart, they can understand and guide us in how to understand this. And this is why Srila Prabhupada's pastimes are so critical to us. Srila Prabhupada's contributions, because he is giving us his Shrimadbhagavatam in such a perfect manner that we can understand this in perfect clarity. Krishna maintaining 16,108 wives. On one hand, we'll celebrate that accomplishment as what a powerful personality, right? Maintaining one wife is difficult enough. Speaking from experience, I can say that because she's not here. Meaning difficult in the sense that it's a great responsibility. So Krishna maintaining 16,108 wives, and with each reciprocating in a unique way, which this reciprocation is also very instructive to us. Because why the inner chamber of our heart is not in insuperable ecstasy. And this is the position of the queens. The insuperable ecstasy in the heart with Krishna is not yet manifest because we don't fully understand our relationship with Krishna. One of the things that Krishna shows in this pastime of having so many wives, one thing that we can take away from that is that we also have a very deep, intimate, personal relationship with Krishna. You might think, well, Krishna has so many children, how will he have time for me? When there's a big household, and maybe many children, they all compete for mother and father's attention, right? And then sometimes they fight. Me first, and it can be. Because mother and father are limited in their ability to dedicate time, even not just to the children, but they have work affairs, household affairs, different activities, societal affairs. There's competition. But Krishna, he can simultaneously dedicate 100% of his time to each and every living entity. That means we have this deep one-to-one relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because Krishna was doing this with just 16,108 wives. With each of them, he was reciprocating with them according to their position. Meaning, he would show to some wives, certain qualities and characteristics, and to others, different. Right? We, as limited humans, we have one set of qualities and characteristics. And we present them, right? And that is why in a group of 200 people, right, there will be small groups of friendships forming based on where the compatible relationships are, compatible qualities are. It doesn't mean that one dismisses others, but we have an infinity. Oh, this person and I have a similar sense of humor. Oh, our, view of speaking and styling is compatible. So then we develop friendships. But Krishna is the friend with the whole of the universe. That is why he is all attractive. Because he reciprocates not according to his needs. He reciprocates according to our needs. This is the loving nature of Krishna. So Krishna, again, surrenders his own needs for that of his devotees. And so with each of the queens, he is reciprocating. Now, in the material sense, one might say, wow, Krishna has that much lust and attachment. He needs 16,108 wives to attach, to satisfy that urge. As we'll see later, that actually Krishna has no attachment. There's no attachment. He is performing a reciprocation. He is reciprocating with the wives of Dwarka, and their desires. And Queen Rukmini is going to see this firsthand. And she's going to see and observe that Krishna, despite all the lavish service being performed, his mind is in Vrindavan. His mind and heart is in Vrindavan. When he is sleeping, he is chanting the names of the residents of Vrindavan. And Queen Rukmini is thinking, what about us? We're here serving you. But in her purity of heart, she does not develop envy of those like we would. What about me? No. She develops, wow, they have served Krishna so nicely that they have entered into the innermost chambers of his heart. How I can serve like that? That is the mood of the devotee. A devotee becomes inspired by the greatness of other devotees. Does not become envious. When a devotee sees someone else doing something great, spectacular, they celebrate that and use it as a source of inspiration to push themselves forward. This is the transcendental competition. So, the wives of Dwarka are in a very interesting and unique position that we have to understand very clearly. Now, the second point we'll make is that you see that this exchange is taking place where? Inside the palace. Jai Shri Radha Jagannath So this exchange is taking place inside the palace. Meaning, there is no public observation. But what we see is really strong etiquette. maybe even questionable etiquette, meaning or surprising etiquette between husband and wife. In the core of the hearts of the queens of Dwarka is this pure love. Insuperable ecstasy is the word that's used. This is like this deepest of attraction. Ecstasy is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in the stage of Bhava Bhakti. It is when actions are performed spontaneously that one is not willing themselves to chant their japa nicely, to read Shrimadbhagavatam, to serve the Lord. It is happening out of a deep push, a spontaneous love. And when one experiences that, there is such an overwhelming happiness that one becomes uncontrollable in their emotions. Uncontrollable. So, one of the uncontrollable emotions we see here is that they inadvertently shed tears. Right? So, in the verse we see that they try to restrain their feelings, but they inadvertently shed tears. This is the emotion that manifests. Now one will say, wait a minute, when will my eyes fill with tears and flow like torrents of rain? We chant in Shishashtakam prayer, right? When will my voice shook up? When will my hairs on my body tonight? Right? We're just asking when these ecstatic symptoms will manifest. Because these are the ecstatic symptoms of this pure love, this Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. But the devotee and the queens here, they are trying to restrain their feelings. Because, and we see this exchange happening between Srimati Radharani and Krishna, and this explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Adi Lila. That when Srimati Radharani experiences these ecstatic symptoms, she starts to lament and tries very hard to suppress them. Why? Because she is saying that when my eyes tear, then the black ointment, the kajal for my eyes, starts to run down my face. And my makeup becomes just ruined. And why she cares? Because she is now lamenting, oh, Krishna doesn't have something nice to see. She is not thinking, oh, now I'm looking less pretty than the other gopis. That is how we would feel. But in the core of her heart, she is lamenting, oh, Krishna now has to look at this messed up. This is Ashri Seva Paraitam Pinashtaman Darshamamadam Gurudva. This is unconditional love. She's thinking that when my eyes water, my service becomes disturbed because I have to attend, clear, my vision becomes cloudy. So now my service to Krishna becomes disturbed. It's like inconceivable, unconditional love. So this is the experience one has when one fully purifies the heart, that to love to Krishna, it supersedes everything else. It's the most important thing. Our own condition becomes completely irrelevant. And that's the natural instinct of all of us in our purified state. These queens of Dwarka, it's very important that we write that's written here, that this emotion was in the innermost recess of the heart. Because the true emotions lie there for us, right? Sometimes we come in and we offer obeisances to the deities and we think, oh, I'm tired, my body hurts, and I don't want to offer obeisances. But actually, we are offering full Dandavat Pranam. Sometimes, some devotee comes, oh, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Madani, nice to see you. In our inner chamber hearts, last time you came, you did this and that and that. Right? Sometimes we go to Krishna, Krishna, please engage me in the chanting of your holy names. But in the inner chamber of our heart, I want more position. I need this, I need that. So, the true consciousness of us resides in the inner chamber of our heart. And for good or for bad, Krishna knows that. Right? He knows that. He knows what's in the inner chamber of our heart. Why? Because he is there. As Paramatma. Why he didn't take position in the knee, in the arm, in the head? Because he's knowing what's, not that he needs to be anywhere physically to know, of course, but in our understanding, he takes position there to understand and hear this inner chamber of our heart. Because that you cannot fake. That you cannot fake. Right? We can fake even dancing in kirtan and shedding tears. I can put some stinging ointment in my eyes and tears will flow. Oh, he's in ecstasy. Wow. Right? So those activities, actually, when Rupa Goswami gives the symptoms of Bhava Bhakti, he gives 9 observable traits that cannot be imitated. They're very, very sweet and very powerful. I have scope to discuss them here, but the point is that this inner chamber of the heart is where our real consciousness lies. And that is what we have to try to rectify and bring to this pure platform, like the Queens of Dwarka. Because in their inner chamber was this insuperable ecstasy. And it was so strong that what did they do? They embraced the Lord into their heart. There was no other option for them. And so, one thing we can take away from this is, they did not run to physically embrace the Lord. Right? And there's an etiquette there we'll talk about in a second. But they brought the embrace into the core of their heart. What's the purport for us? That our service is not measured by what we physically do. How nice and fluffy the puris are, how perfectly the fruits are cut, how nicely the sabji is spiced. That's not what is taken by the Lord. What is taken by is what was in the inner chamber of our heart while we are performing that service. That is more important. When I am singing for the Lord, am I singing so that others will think, wow, this Prabhuji can really, has great, voice and tone? Or are we singing to glorify the Lord? Right? So the physical service is not what we have to fine-tune. We have to fine-tune what is the mood in which we are doing that service. What is in the innermost chamber of our heart. And purity should be, what will Krishna appreciate? What will Krishna enjoy? Right? So this is the perfection of our devotional service. So the first thing that the queens did is they embraced the Lord in the innermost recesses of their heart. And of course for them, this was natural because that was the only attractive thing for them. Okay? The pure devotee has only one attraction, and that is to Krishna. They have no other attraction because everything else is pale, dull. But we have so many material attractions. So I'll just conclude now here a little bit with this etiquette. Why that the queens are not physically embracing their husband? So our Vedic principles and practices are exceptionally perfect. And when applied, things work very, very nicely. And this Grahastha ashram is not a ashram or a license for unrestricted sense enjoyment. That the Grahastha ashram must be observed in strict regulation. And we see here the queens of Dwarka. They are observing, again, inside the palaces, not in public, this etiquette. That not even physically embracing their husband. It shows that their relationship was not out of lust. Krishna is not maintaining queens because out of lust, nor the queens serving their husband out of lust. Their relationship is based on real love. And so the Grahastha ashram is engineered in such a way that one, it follows this etiquette very properly, can also achieve this purity of heart. This relationship in this ashram must also be very regulated. Srila Prabhupada said that the brahmachari and the sannyasi, they restrict the physical, sensual pleasure. But even more powerful than the brahmachari sannyasi is one who is in Grahastha ashram and controls. Because they are in the physical proximity of the opposite sex. So that position is even more elegant. It requires more control. So on the one hand, we see, some statements and they're factual, right? It's if you cannot control, then you enter Grahastha ashram. But it's not a license for uncontrolled. And the queens of Dwarka are showing us this incredible etiquette. And of course, the challenge we have is that some of these etiquettes are so counter to what we see in society that they seem old-fashioned, outdated, impractical. I'm sure, I think in the prior verse, I was just reading in Kirtan, that there were some statements here of the vows of the ladies and how they undertake certain restrictions when the husband is away from home. And on the one hand, modern society would view these things as some kind of oppression, some kind of minimization of one sex over the other. But in actuality, in applying some of these principles, it happened. Because the husbands did not understand their responsibility in that equation. So in the Vedic process, it's a two-way street. Everything is a two-way street. Right? The devotee surrenders everything in their heart to Krishna. All the material attachments, everything, gone. Only Krishna. And Krishna, how does he reciprocate? He surrenders everything. All his opulences, all his luxury, everything. And the only thing residing in his heart are the thoughts of his devotees. It's a two-way exchange. Not a one-way exchange. Everything is a two-way exchange. So in this relationship, also, it is a two-way exchange. One can read one side and say, oh, the wife must do these certain things and restrict. But that happens when the husband is also doing his part, which is very, very strict in terms of the responsibilities, the obligations, the control of senses. Everything must be observed in perfection on both ways. And what is the result of the observation of these etiquettes? Successful relationships. So the equality that we talk about, the equality is based on equality of following this system. That both sides must equally adhere to the principles. And both are equal in their value, in their respect, in their position. But the actions are not the same. The actions are different. But that does not create one is higher or lower. But the misapplication of our Vedic principles leads to one exploiting the other. And unscrupulous husbands exploit some of these Vedic principles to try to subjugate the wife. But that is not the Vedic process. That is not the Vedic process. In fact, our Vedic process is such that the husband must do anything that the wife requests. And we see this in 3rd canto Shrimadbhagavatam with Gardava Muni. He did not want to. But he did. And he did it in such an extravagant way. Creates an unseen before spaceship. So, actually, who is controlling who? This is actually our Vedic system. This is our Vedic process. And the result of that is harmony. But in so-called pursuit of modernization of our view of these roles and responsibilities, what has happened? Complete destruction of Grihastha Ashram. Grihastha Ashram is completely destroyed. By what we can say that? Simple analysis. How many children are growing up in single-parent households compared to 100 years ago? It's not even close. How many children are suffering from mental anguish, substance abuse, compared to 100 years ago. What is all this? It's to break down our family structure. So in so-called attempt to modernize our view, what we have done, we've completely destroyed it. Completely destroyed it. So, our Vedic system is actually so perfect that if we just follow it, our desired results manifest, which is harmony amongst everyone, so that we can all focus on serving Krishna. This is Varnashram Dharma. So, while it may seem old-fashioned by our lens of contaminated heart, we have to see this system from the instructions of our acharyas, and we'll understand actually it is perfect, beyond our ability. And why? Because Krishna has created it. And so much so that Krishna himself observes. What was the need for him to observe this in the inside of the palaces? Right? There was no external display. This was in the inside. But knowing how to maintain this. So we learn from this also that there is a strict etiquette in everything that we do. So you may say, well, I'm not in this ashram. That doesn't matter. The point is that wherever we are, there is a strict etiquette. And the more we choose to follow it, it's our free will to decide how strict we want to follow and not. But the more that we follow that etiquette, the more rapidly we'll achieve the insuperable ecstasy of love of Krishna in our heart. So the path to this perfection is within our hands. But we should understand that these Vedic systems and procedures and structure very clearly and apply that. But be careful not to apply, one side of it, not the other. That is our tendency. We take what we like and leave back what we don't like. But, if you are doing some in the chemistry lab and you are doing, some series of, reactions and this to get to the end result, if I don't like this step, I'll do this step. And then now I don't want to do this. Do you get to the end result? No, you have to do it in totality. So same thing here in this process. Thank you very much. Shrimadbhagavatam ki Prabhupada ki. Any comments? Questions?
Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks for this importance of etiquette and Grihasthashram principles. Krishna himself showed how we have to follow it perfectly. So, good example.
Thank you. Remember, keep the innermost chamber of our heart is the focus. That is what Krishna sees in our service. What he observes when we offer obeisances, when we cook, when we serve, sing, dress, give Bhagavatam, whatever it is. This inner chamber of the heart is what Krishna receives, not the chapati, not the words from our mouth, not the decoration of the Lord. It's what is the mood of the heart in rendering that service. Because that embrace Krishna felt, the physical embrace was not what was going to please him. It was the emotional embrace. It's the same thing in our service.
But how to develop that?
How to develop that?
Because we do, sometimes we are obliged to do something.
Or what?
We are obliged to do something, as someone instructs you or something. We do it. And sometimes we do it voluntarily. Sometimes we do our own, what do you say, if whatever we are interested in, so that's where we, so how to develop that mood in all these scenarios?
So on the one hand, fake it till you make it. meaning try. But when somebody, as you said, we're sometimes obligated to do because somebody asked me, that is the best service we can do. Why? Because I am removing I, me, mine. I want to do this. I want to do that. Right? So that service that is asked of us, that is the best service. Because my opportunity to now do it in a purified state is higher. Because in fact, maybe I'm asked to do something I don't want to do. And you can just think on a very basic logic. When you do that service, still with gratitude. Gratitude for what? The opportunity to serve. How do you think Krishna receives that service? Wow, my child is doing something he doesn't want to do, but he's doing it for me. How do you think that pleases Krishna? Compared to, my child is doing only the service he wants to do, and in fact he's disturbing others in doing his service, but he is doing it because he wants to. Which service is going to please Krishna more? It's not even close. So when we receive a service that we don't like, we should be very grateful. This is an opportunity for me to take one step closer to this unconditional service. And that's why, in actuality, we should not do any service according to our own volition. Krishna's Rupa Goswami in the definition of pure devotional service says, Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. What does Anushilana mean? It means to follow in the footsteps in an active way under instruction. This is the perfection of Anushilana. And why? Because it is for our protection. It is for our protection. To help remove the I, me, mine. Now there's a practical aspect to this also. It doesn't mean we are walking and we see something, oh, nobody told me to do it, I won't do it. No, we should, use our understandings. But in the general context, that's the best way. The other side of that, it's not necessarily the other side, but we have to acknowledge that in our conditioned state, we cannot achieve perfection today or tomorrow. So doing services we like is also good because it's increasing my attraction. So it's not that we should, avoid, services that we like. Because what can happen is we can become frustrated with the process. So, but we should know that I should move to the point where it is not important what I like. It is important what Krishna likes. Because Krishna does not reciprocate with us according to how he likes. Right? Krishna is not reciprocating with the queens of Dwarka according to what his likes are. How is he reciprocating? According to their likes. So we have to render to Krishna our service according to his likes, not ours. And Krishna reciprocates back accordingly. So you'll find actually, in that service that you don't like, that you're obligated to do, when we do it, you'll actually find more satisfaction from it. When you do it in the right mood. Now, if we do it in a mood, this Prabhu's Mataji asked me to do it, they don't like me, they don't respect me, we do it begrudgingly. Well, then we'll not get that rasa. We'll not get that rasa. Right? So, the purification of the heart occurs when we can do that. And we have to practice it. But you practice it and try it, you'll see. You'll experience. And we see it throughout Shastra. Why do we study this? We just studied. Who was the reluctant king? Yudhishthira Maharaj. Krishna dragged him. Go talk to Bhishmadev. I'm joking, but in that way, right? This nature is there. Arjuna was a reluctant warrior on the battlefield. Right? So we may be a reluctant, whatever it is that we're being asked to do. But that's the way of the pure devotee. You think Srila Prabhupada wanted to come to the West and live in this hellish place? No. Why he would leave Shrimadbhagavatam? He was beautiful place in Radha Damodar temple, right at the footsteps of Rupa Goswami Samadhi, Radha Damodar deities, the epicenter of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, Jiva Goswami, all the way, so much potent. Why he left? He wanted to go on some sightseeing tour? Because the order of his spiritual master was more important than his own desires. And we are the beneficiaries of that. So, sometimes we feel that I'm being ordered around and that's because I'm a junior. That being quote unquote ordered around should grow more and more as we progress. So we don't ascribe that to, that I'm a junior position. Actually, the senior most devotees, they follow this process. We see this, I could talk for hours on this, I won't, but in the pastime of Narottam Das Thakur. Narottam Das Thakur was given Krishna Prem directly by Krishna himself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu deposited his tears of ecstasy, Lord Nityananda captured them and put it in the Padma river and said, when Narottam comes and bathes many years later, you give to him. So he'd achieved Krishna Prem. But he was told by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his dream that you have to go to Vrindavan and take initiation. Now why he has to do that? He's already achieved Krishna Prem. But that instruction was more important to him. So he did. And he was rejected by Loknath Swami. But what did he do? Rendered menial service and took initiation. And as soon as he took initiation, what he was told? You now go study under Jiva Goswami. He said, I didn't come to take, I came to learn from you. But that instruction became the lifeblood. And so he went and studied under Jiva Goswami, served under him. And then Jiva Goswami after some time said, okay, you now go out and do book distribution. No, I came to study under you. So we see this dynamic in all our acharyas. Why there are acharyas? Because I, me, mine never entered their consciousness. They were strict followers of the instruction. Not because they were junior, because they were advanced. So the more advanced we become, the more we progress in devotional service, the more we should steadfastly work under instruction and guidance. In the beginning, actually, there was some leniency, right? Because we're learning. So if our guru, our management is, understanding the process, they're lenient. Okay, go do this, you want to do this, no problem. Because they're trying to inspire us. But as we progress, we should move more towards this mood of strict adherence. Because we are the beneficiary of that. Sometimes we feel, I'm being exploited. Right? It's natural, we feel that. And in that, there could be a case of that. But don't worry, Krishna will protect you. To be exploited in Krishna's service is the best of all conditions. It's the best of all conditions. So if we ever feel we are being taken advantage of or this or that, we should know, actually in doing service, that is what pleases Krishna. And of course, if you're in the exploiting position, you should be extremely scared. Because you can mess with Krishna, but don't mess with Krishna's children. So if you are in that side, you should be extremely concerned for your safety and welfare of your spiritual life. Because you can ruin it in a millisecond. So both sides are critical. It's okay. Sorry, I gave you a long discussion to your question. Anything else?
Thank you.
Shrimadbhagavatam ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki.